We have a double celebration today. You may not know, it's Brennan Johnson's fucking birthday today. So I think it's only right we sing Johnson again, ole ole. Johnson again, ole ole. Johnson again, Johnson again. Johnson again, ole ole. Oh, easy, there we go. Happy birthday.
Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're back as we are in the midst, everybody knows, a January transfer window where we'll be going live pretty much on a daily, depending on what is happening in the Spurs sphere. If you can for us out there, like, hype, subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. We're joined by three great returning guests to Last Word on Spurs, who are going to sum up just about where Spurs are on the pitch, off the pitch, what's to come. We've got Lubo and Johnny back from the Spurs 5, and of course, Johnny from Football Inc. respectively. We've got Gary back as well from Project Spurs. God, if only we know what the project was. Let's say if you're for the first time, you can find us, of course, on iTunes or on Spotify or across all major audio platforms. We are, of course, going to be discussing Brennan Johnson's exit, where he has left the club for Crystal Palace. That now is a done deal. Tottenham also on a busy day have seen Takai moving on to Borussia Mönchengladbach on a loan with what we understand to also be an option to buy in there. Yep, that was brief. It was pretty much instant. Never saw the bloke. Never saw him. Souza could Tottenham be dipping their toes into the Brazilian market this time? Souza of Santos, reportedly a Tottenham Hotspur target. And following that news of Brennan Johnson leaving the club, Spurs are understood to be once again ramping up potential interest in Savinho and Diomande, two of their key targets in this January transfer window. What a 24-40 hours it's been. Where do we even go? Where do we even start? I don't even want to think about or go back to what we had to witness at Brentford at the G-Tech, but two of our soldiers in Lubo and Jonathan Hammy, who are here from a second. It is Jonathan Hammy, by the way. There's not a voice protector behind him. Were there at the G-Tech. Let's start with you, Lubo. Difficult night. We came away with a point. 2 back-to-back clean sheets, but you, of course, was part of the travelling away contingent that fans were singing. They want their money back. And boring Tottenham. What do you make of where we are on the pitch right now before we discuss off the pitch?
I think the fans have had enough. I think they have been... Listen, the away fans have had the best of it this season, in all honesty. You know, we've had, what have we had? 2 defeats in 10, is it? 18 points out of 30. I wish we had 18 points out of 30 at home. We'd be, where would we be? 3rd, 4th?
Wouldn't mind 8 points at home, Lubo.
But it was just really poor last night. He set up. Listen, when you haven't got any creative midfielders, I think you've got to start to think outside the box. And for me, playing Gray with Bergvall, with Bentancur and Polina, I thought reminded me of Nuno, 4th or 5th game when he was manager at Spurs. We went to Palace with Højbjerg, Winks and Skip in midfield, and there was just no creativity. And we got smacked 3-0, and sort of 3 or 4 weeks later he was gone. It was a bit like that, except we didn't lose. I thought Romero and Van der Ven with Bentancur in front were excellent. The rest of them I thought were awful. But there's no... It was like... you could see it was going to be 0-0 from the second minute. And there was no drive. There was no desire to go and win the game. And Brentford were there for the taking. I honestly didn't understand it. You know, what he should have done for me was play a back 3, play a 5 in front, with Kudus as the 10, with Bentancur and Polina behind, and Porro and Spence as wing backs, with Mwani and Richie up front. And that's how I would have played. I would have gone for it. Sometimes you've got to he doesn't change it, does he? He just moves around the different pieces. But keeping the system as it is. And listen. He hasn't got much to play with. Let's not be delusional about this. This is the end result of 25 years of a football club being neglected, with the owners getting lucky because they've had certain personnel at the club that have kept them out of trouble for so long. But sooner or later, your luck runs out, and the luck has run out for Enoch. And I think these kids have walked in to a mess, an unholy mess. I don't think there's a leader at the club now that Levy's gone. They've gone from one extreme to the other. Levy micromanaged everything. Probably picked the type of toilet paper we had at the club, and now there's nobody leading it. Who's leading it? It just looks like a complete mess. You've got various people that have come in to take Levy's take over Levy's job. They're all people running a division. Vinay was a number 2. I've got to agree with what Simon Jordan said on TalkSport last week. Is he a number 2 that's been thrown into a number 1 job, and again is finding his feet? It's a bit like Frank. Frank's come from a middle of the road club that is so much smaller than Tottenham, and I think he's struggling to come to terms with the jump up as well. And I just think the whole club's in a mess. The football is boring as hell. This is Tottenham Hotspur. We shouldn't be playing this sort of crap. This is nonsense for our club. When I think of the players that we've had through the years, and we're watching this, it is absolute garbage. And the away fans, coming back to your original question, Ricky, it's a bit long-winded, but coming back to it, the guys have just had enough. They're just fed up with it. It is rubbish.
Can he win those fans back round, Lubo, in your opinion? One that goes home and away like you do, especially assuming the away fans are the contingent of fans that are, I think, the most loyal. I'm going back into what Frank goes, loyal, real, true. I don't want to get to that point, but you understand where I'm coming from. The loyalty of the away fans, they are there through thick and through thin. Can he win them back like the way they've turned, do you think, in the last 24 hours for you?
What do I think? I think that if we start winning, if we get a couple of good signings, if you get Solanke and Kulusevski back by the end of the month, and we start playing a different type of football, then I think the fans will start coming back. Will they? I don't know. Once a manager starts criticising fans, there's a long way back for him.
Yeah. Johnny, let me come over to you, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. I mean, look, me and you in the sub, I think both of us were excited by the appointment of Thomas Frank. And look, it's fair to say that at the moment he probably finds himself in the most difficult position he's found himself so far in the Spurs role. I mean, I've definitely felt he's found it hard transitioning, both in terms of what we're seeing on the pitch and also what he's saying off it. Just where are you right now? Again, someone that travels home and away, you was there at the G-Tech as well. That reaction from the away fans, it felt like when the players come over, they got a degree of criticism. Then when the manager came over, he got roundly booed. So how can he turn this around with the options he's got available? Or is it about really backing him in this January transfer market and seeing where it goes? Or is that impossible now for you?
Listen, I would like my money back as it happens. I went there feeling absolutely horrific last night, but I'm TTID. So I go no matter what. I'm not going to go on a stretcher, but I'm going to go even if I don't feel great. And I went down there last night, and it was, it was football to make your eyes bleed. I mean, let's be honest. Last year, I couldn't wait to get rid of 2025, and we had Daniel Levy gone, Ange gone, Son's gone, Ryan Mason's gone, Matt Wells is gone, Jedinak's gone. Raimondo's gone, Donna Cullen's gone, Scott Munn's gone, 3/4 of the medical team have gone, Kulu, Madison, Dragusin, Solanke, all out injured. Our worst finish ever. Only 10 home losses in a year. I couldn't wait for 2025 to be over. And there I was just a few hours later thinking nothing's changed. In fact, if anything, maybe it's got a bit worse. It was a hard watch last night. But I think you have to add some caveats into this. You know, yes, I was a Frank fan, and yes, I thought he would do a good job. Am I happy with what's going on right now? No, I'm not. But when I look at it, I personally think defensively, from an organisational point of view, and our set pieces, both defensively and offensively, is much better. But our phase 2 and our phase 3 of our game, midfield and attack, is absolutely shambolic. But I look at that midfield and that attack. I mean, we had 8 players out from that attack and midfield, and there is no one on that pitch that gets into a top 6, top 7, maybe even a top 8 team. I don't see any of them in there that are good enough. And so when we're asking for him to create something fantastic in the middle of the park, I mean, Mohamed Kudus looks like he's going round and round in circles there like a rat up a drain pipe going nowhere. He's just, honestly, he's just got worse and worse and worse. He's got progressively worse. I don't see progression. I saw Matthias Tell. He came on late. Why aren't you pressing? You know, you want to make a play for your position and you want to justify why you're not getting a place. Make the manager question, you know, your absentee from the starting lineup. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
Let me ask you on that point you're making there. This is to a degree, and I said this in our previous show, it's the same squad that you had to work with when we went out to Man City away at the early part of the season and we got a result up there. You're saying it there. How has it regressed so much? Are the players just not being able to follow instruction? Are they no longer behind him? What do you put this down to?
I don't think.
Is it just the lack of? Is it purely the lack of quality? Because I mean, I look at the way we're trying to play. For me, I'm not sure the players are enjoying having to play like this. I understand again the lack of quality, and I agree with Lubo. The squad is nowhere near where it needs to be. But my worry is that I don't see it getting any better. You know, week upon week. It's only getting worse. Are we in that same situation like many suggested with Ange last season, that until he gets those players back, it's impossible to judge him and he needs back in this January transfer window?
I think he's grinding out victories and he's ugly. There's no other word for it. It's ugly.
You say grinding out victories. I think it's 2 wins in the last 10 at the moment.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly. No one can sit here and justify the ugliness of it. But should we be sat here, you know, when I had time to think about it and calm down after last night's rant, would I prefer he went gung-ho and got absolutely smashed? And, you know, would that be better? I don't know anymore. I mean, we gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. You know, we've gone from Ange Postecoglou's like all out attack and no care about defending. But I would say one thing as well. From a very young age, if you go into the garden and play football with your son or your daughter or what have you, the first thing you learn how to do, the very first basic of football, is passing the ball to your dad or to your mates or whatever, right? They go and they join a professional football club from the age of 7 or 8. They play all the way through, passing the ball, learning techniques and all the rest of it. I can't blame Thomas Frank for last night. Those players going out and having an inability to pass a ball 5 yards. They couldn't pass it. I mean, Vicario had a completion rate of 48%. I mean, come on, mate. Your half of those passes are from the back of the goal. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And
I'm to ask you, as an away fan, how much more are you, the fans in general, going to tolerate of what they're watching right now? How much more can anyone tolerate of this?
I don't want to tolerate any more of what I saw last night. But I would say, personally speaking, I would give Thomas Frank to the end of the season, based on the fact that everyone who I would like to replace him with is currently in the job. Whether it's Pochettino, whether it's Tuchel, whether it's Nagelsmann, we all know the list, okay? We're not stupid. But all this talk of get rid of him, get an interim manager in, waste of time. Let him play it out to the end of the season, okay? And we will evaluate at the end of the season. And if he's still delivering this turgid football with players back and strikers back and players being bought in the January window, and he's still delivering that, he's gone. He's gone. But we will replace him with a proper manager. I don't want a half-hearted measure, right? That's it in a nutshell. I didn't want him. I wanted him in. I would have taken Glasner. I would have probably taken 2 or 3 different managers. I was happy with Frank. And, you have to hold your hand up if you've asked for a manager and he's not delivered. Well, I'm not going to hide from it. But at the same time, common sense has to prevail here, and getting rid of him when there's no... I see all the stuff about Xavi, bring Xavi in. I mean, come on. Can you imagine Xavi turning up for the first day of training and seeing that group of players that can't even pass the ball 5 yards? Come on. Tiki-taka football. No chance.
Yeah, I mean, I always make this joke within one training session. Listen, the thing that Billy T always makes a point, though, if you throw enough money at someone, people are crazy enough to take it. They would be crazy enough to take it. Gary, let me come to you. I mean, the problem we know with playing this kind of football is that it offers nothing in terms of that word that some people pay to see, which is entertainment. And the reality is that if you don't win, then there's nothing really for the fans to invest and get behind in. So where are you, Gary, in terms of this Frank project at the moment?
I'm very much like Johnny. I was very pro bringing him in. I was excited when he was appointed. I thought we needed a change from last season, and obviously everybody knows the reasons behind that, and it's probably pointless going into that now. And as you know, I try to find positives in everything in terms of football, in most things. I don't know how much more I can take of watching that, though. I find it very hard to find any excuse or positivity to take from it. I guess the clean sheet is that. However, my biggest problem is that I just don't want to see our sides set up to not lose. We need to have a to do attitude in everything that we do. And I know this sounds a bit strange, but this is entertainment. This is the sport is entertainment, and I feel for Lubo and Johnny going there last night in that freezing cold. That's not entertainment. We're not having that at all. I'm fed up with the system that's been played. I don't see there being any positives that he's trying to bring into the front attacking style of play or anything. There was combinations that we could have changed yesterday. We didn't. I just felt like he's going too safe. He's trying not to lose games rather than going out to win them. And I know that's a caveat from last season where I was maybe we're too much in one direction. Now I think we've just gone the complete other direction. Where we are at the moment, I think we're lost as a club, and I felt like that for a while. And I think what we've been trying to do, and we've really been trying to do this, in my opinion, since Pochettino left. We've tried to get the recruitment similar to what we had under Pochettino, where we could find some younger players that we could develop and maybe turn into a gem, and we haven't been able to really do that. We tried to find managers that are happy to have their hands sort of tied together by an ownership, and some of the managers have tried, but most of them are not prepared to do that. We've gone to win now managers. We've gone from people that want players that are going to win now and not develop, and we just seem to be all over the place. And I think it's a combination of 5 or 6 years of 7 now, really, we're into 2026, of just no alignment. And there has to be a time where we have to hit a reset button, and I think we're kind of at that stage now as a club and a fan base and everything, where we just have to go, this needs to be a reset. This January is massive. I think massive not only for right now for us as a fan base, hopefully we can get reunited with the players that we bring in, but also for Thomas Frank. If he doesn't get this right in the next month or so, like Johnny says, I don't think he's going to be here in the summer, and there's going to be a whole host of managers that will be. and again, it's starting again from scratch. So it's just so disappointing.
Let me ask you guys, just on this point that you're saying here, we've got the window open right now. There'll be players looking at Tottenham. Do you still think, Gary, we've got the ability to attract decent players here when they're looking at how we're playing at present? What's your gauge on that for you?
I'm not too sure on how we play, and defensively we've gotten better. I don't think.
There's no doubt about that. We're not, defensively, we have improved. But
so I think there's definitely clearly that we need help in that attack. Now, I think players, the good thing that we've got is we can offer them game time. Whereas you look at maybe a Savinho or a Mamouche or whoever, all the names that we've been linked with, we can offer them game time. We can offer them in a World Cup year. We can almost pretty much guarantee them regular games. And I think that is a big attraction to a lot of players. We've obviously got the fantastic facilities we've got, and by all accounts, we're looking to potentially increase that wage structure. So those things do matter to players. My worry is, and it's a bit like with Brendan Johnson going to Palace. Glaston's going to be there in 5 months' time, and he's still gone there. So he's not worrying about who the manager is. He's worrying about he's going to get game time. He's going to be playing in the Premier League, and look, at a decent club. There's no two ways about it. Palace are a decent football side. So I hope that other players are thinking that about Tottenham as well. But where we're doing our fishing, we just need to know who the other fishermen on that river is, because if they're the bigger boys, we're probably not going to get them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Look, Thomas Frank has held his press conference ahead of Sunderland, of course, at the weekend. Another big game for Tottenham, another home game to come. He was reluctant to give a specific time frame on Dominic Solanke's return and said Lucas Bergvall was a doubt for the match. When asked about Tottenham's away support chanting boring during the draw against Brentford, Frank gave a long and detailed answer about the current situation with his side. And in terms of what needs to improve offensively, he said, there's a few things we need to improve on. One of those is losing the ball through unforced errors, which happened 25 times against Brentford. I showed those 25 clips to the players. He went on to say, football is a game of mistakes. You lose the ball, that happens. But if half those can be better, it'll provide more attacks. There was at least 5 good counter-attacks against Brentford, where a better touch could leave us 3 versus 3, and the game looks more lively and open. Frank went on to say that patterns, structure, and getting in the right positions also needs to be addressed, and it's he and his coaching staff that take full responsibility for that. Frank was pressed when asked if he sees success this season and beyond, and he said, what I'm 100% sure is what will happen is we are able to score a lot more goals and be a lot more dominant. With the current situation, where a lot of top players are out, we are playing a lot of games. It makes it more tricky. We need to manage everything between that with small steps every day. He was asked about whether he's daring enough, and his response, Lubo, was, I'm sitting here. Make of that what you will. We do need to move on, but Lubo, this next couple of weeks coming up, January, how crucial is it that he gets results on the board for you?
Listen, it's just a question of grinding out results, isn't it? You know,
you say that, but is it? Because I'm not sure whether you're part of that away contingent. How much more will fans tolerate what they're seeing?
Well, you had 220,000 that were more than happy Spurs ground out a result in Bilbao.
On that occasion, obviously for a cup final, but I'm asking you to but I'm domestically.
It's the worst football ever, though. Well, it was the worst.
I'm asking you
ever.
Johnny, you remember the early 2000s with Andy Booth and Gregor Raziaka? We have watched some shit over the years.
Yeah.
Excuse the language. This isn't new. I've seen this before. This
is a different kind of crap, though.
This is another level, isn't it? Like, you know, not with all due respect. Luba, I understand where you're coming from, and I totally agree that the player quality he's got is nowhere near the level. But I'm asking you, as an away fan, as part of that contingent, how much more can we tolerate of it?
If you've got an 11, if you've got a best 11 like that Pochettino has,
yes,
every time you replace a player, you downgrade. Sooner or later, this is what happens. This is no surprise. Don't anybody be surprised at where we are
100%.
While we're giving the ball away 25 times in a match. That's absolutely dreadful. I mean, it's pathetic.
Do you not think we've got the capability then to play any better than what we're seeing right now?
I don't think we have. I genuinely don't think we have. I don't think Frank's covered himself in glory with the way, with some team selections and the way he's set up for some matches at home. He could do better there. I think he realises that he's walked into a real mess. We may have fluked a win, and believe me, Bilbao was fantastic, and we all loved it, and it's written in our history books now. But we have been left year on year with a worse squad, and we are now. This is where we are now. There's no Bale, there's no Modric, there's no Harry, there's no Sonny, there's no Pochettino, there's no Redknapp, there's no Michael Edwards, there's no Paul Mitchell, there's no Paul Barber. They've all gone. All these top stars around the club, whether it's director of football, whether it's administrator, whether it's manager, whether it's players, all these good players, all these good members of staff, they've all gone. And
no one's denying Lou, but no one.
Now, Ricky.
No. Listen. I am not sitting here trying to deny what you're saying there in regards to the quality of the squad. The question I'm saying back to you is, like we saw in the earlier part of the season, when we played against a PSG side away from home in the Super Cup final, when we played against Man City away from home, they felt there was a structure, they felt there was an organisation, they felt there was a willingness to try and attack the opposition. That doesn't seem to be there at all.
Well, listen, we've watched. Look at. I go to football now. I have no idea which Spurs will turn up. The Spurs that turned up at the beginning of the season, or the Spurs that turned up against Wolves, Bournemouth, Bodo, Monaco, Fulham, Forest, Chelsea, Arsenal last night. How many more games is this going to go on? These players obviously aren't playing for it. They can't be. They can't
on that
be.
basis, then, if we're saying that, why would we really give this more time? I understand what you're saying. I don't think I'm not understanding what you're saying. I agree with every word what you're saying about the squad, but it goes back to what we're here for then with the manager. If we are openly admitting that we can't see what the identity is, what the plan is, what the structure is, what the organisation is,
There's nothing.
Why are we giving this more time?
But what's the creative talent? What is the creative talent that we have in our team? Tell me one player that makes you get up off of your seat, right? Not a single player. Maybe Mickey van der Ven, when he picks up the ball at the edge of his box and drives towards goal. That's about it. Yeah. Okay, that's what we're down to. We haven't got any creativity in the middle of the park. Xavi's been here and there, and he's in the game and he's out the game. He's not landed. A bit like Florian Wirtz. Lots of great reputation, but hasn't delivered.
The thing for me, Johnny, is that you come back in. I'm with a lot what Lubo's saying about the squad quality. I'm not denying that. My frustration is that I have seen in periods of Frank. I knew the minute we're going to go into this Frank conversation, we could be here a while, and I don't want to be. But the thing about this element is that we've seen, on one hand, in a few games, what this squad has been capable of under him. I go back to the PSG game, the Man City game, so we know we can play better under him. So what I'm trying to understand is right now, are we able to get back to seeing some form of any kind of attacking pattern that's going to give fans the confidence, Johnny, this is going to improve? Or with better players, are you confident, Johnny, if he gets in a few decent players of genuine quality, we're going to get an uplift? Do you feel confident, Johnny?
I do think that, I'm not saying it's going to be revolutionary when they come in, but I would definitely say that if you had Maddison, Kulu, Solanke, and another, yes, it would be better. I can't see how it wouldn't be better. No, I can't see it. I'm not going to say, look, the final two phases of our football is crap.
It's horrendous.
Okay, our transitions are rubbish, right?
I know it's the other thing I've got to say, John, is that you come back in. I know it's been difficult because he's not had, I think he had the one of the weeks he had like a full week, I think, forgive me, I think it was the Palace week. But before that, he's had very few opportunities to work with the squad in a full week to really be able to practice things on the training ground. But I just wonder, what are we doing in some of the days when we're not doing recovery sessions? What are we doing on that training ground?
Well, who's good there? Who's good there? Is Kulu really that good? I worried about Kulu before he even came. We're listening to the people from West Ham. His numbers last season were shocking for a guy we're paying 55 million for. I'm sorry, he's just he has not been fantastic. He flatters to deceive. He takes on the players again and again and again. He doesn't release the ball. We all know it. Come on. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Xavi hasn't hit the ground running. But, you know, a fit Kudus who's performing, a Xavi that's performing, a Bergvall that's in the team. We had 8 players that were missing last night. I'm not going to make excuses for the players, but I do think that the final 2/3 of that game, of our game, is massively affected by it. And let me tell you, if these players come in and nothing changes, I'm in for throwing him under the bus. I don't have a problem. Right now, if they sacked him, I'm not going to cry about it, okay? I'll make that very clear, despite me thinking he's a good manager. And I think tactically, he is a good manager. I think what he's doing now is basically trying to survive. And Spurs fans will not put up with it. I won't put up with it either. This isn't Brentford. And last night felt like Brentford versus Brentford. That's what it felt like last night. To Brentford.
I think he's struggling to understand what he's got in terms of quality. Well, the quality that we do have, and then with a big asterisk on the end. With the Kudus situation, Kudus is a good player. My look at that is we are going to him on 90% of the time we try to do a breakaway of any form. We've run him into the ground, and it's very easy to defend against that because we can just put 2 players on. He's surrounded every time now because we've got really nothing down that left. In the number 10 last night was Archie Gray, who had played at centre-back most of last season, who isn't a number 10. And with all due respect to him, why he scored some goals, Richarlison ain't going to even scare me if I was playing up against him.
But he's drawing them, Gary. He's drawing them. You know what you were saying?
Yeah,
right.
He's drawing them, but we haven't got anything on the other side to help us. So it's easy to defend against. The lack of quality and the imbalance is what's causing us the issue. And that comes down to, again, as we've all said on here, poor recruitment. We've not recruited. We all knew that Son was going to leave after that cup final. I bet all of us sat here and probably could have texted each other and gone, that's it. If we know that, they needed to have got someone in and they haven't. And again, that Daniel Levy left us short in critical areas. I really hope that in January, within the next few days, I hope next week we have got somebody that is coming in to play on that left-hand side because we're short. And that is what's causing issues with Mohamed Kudus, in my opinion.
Well, look, we are going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. Thanks so much to all the support out there. We have got over 5,000 that are watching us live. Guys, like I say, we're going to be with you if we need to on the daily when it comes to this January transfer window. Things are heating up, moves are happening. For you to keep in touch and understand what is happening, we'll be following you every step of the way. So make sure you hit the like button, you subscribe to the show, and you hit the notification bell so you are aware every time we will be going live in this January transfer window. Brennan Johnson has now completed his move to Crystal Palace. That is a done deal. And with that now taking place, it is understood Tottenham now are turning their attentions once again to Savinho and Diomande, who are high up on Tottenham's list of potential replacements for Brennan Johnson, who leaves the club, you've got to say, as a Tottenham legend. Whether you were a big fan of Brennan Johnson, whether you wasn't a big fan of Brennan Johnson, no one can deny, of course, how much he'll be held in Tottenham folklore for, of course, scoring that goal that saw Tottenham win, of course, their Europa League, bringing an end to a 40-year trophy drought in Europe and also a 17-year one domestically. Gary, I'll start with you on the news. Brennan Johnson is no longer a Tottenham player. Signed, sealed for Crystal Palace. And it's interesting because apparently he was told on New Year's Eve by both Fabio Paratici and Thomas Frank that he doesn't have a long-term future at the football club. Do you think, Gary, this is a move that is the best for all parties, or you just want to see Brennan leave the football club?
I wouldn't say I was happy to see him leave. I think there's depth that he adds to the squad. I don't see enough from him when he comes off the bench. Last season, obviously, the top goal scorer scored the goal in the Europa League fair play to him, will always be very remembered well. I'm a bit like Johnny on if Thomas Frank left, I wouldn't be crying. I don't mean that in any disrespect. I'm not crying about it. If you look at the fee, was at 35 million. It's essentially cost us 12.5 million for the last 2.5 years. Not a bad return really for him at the club. I wish him the best. I don't see him fitting in the system that we're playing and that we seem to be going down, and he doesn't make enough impact coming off the bench for me. So best of luck to him. I hope he goes on to have great success internationally and with Palace, and wish him the best.
It's interesting. I mean, coming on you, Johnny, just on Brennan Johnson, he now becomes the player now for a third year in a row that Tottenham have now sold from the previous season in terms of their top goal scorer. He follows Heung-min Son, Harry Kane in departing the football club. Do you agree, Johnny, this is maybe a move that's best for all parties for Brennan? What do you think on that for you?
Yeah, well, I anyone who follows me, I said that I thought that one of the players I think is going to really be up for the chopping block would be Brennan Johnson. And people came back with me and said, well, he tried to sign him at Brentford, so that's a load of nonsense. I said, there's only one way he will stay at this club is if he learns to be brave and take on his man. And unfortunately, despite the fact the one thing that Thomas Frank demands is to be brave and take on his man, and Brennan Johnson hasn't done it. In fact, there was one game this season at home, I got up out my seat and I cheered when he went past his man. Listen, thanks for the memories. Although, please, someone send me a video of him actually touching the ball. I'm pleased for him. Those 18 goals, Backdoor Johnson scored. They played tribute to him last night. I think more than 3 or 4 times they were singing Johnson again, ole, ole. I'm sure you heard it on the TV, which I joined in. And thanks very much for your service. At least he's made a contribution. And all I can say is, let's hope.
Say, Johnny,
do not tell me we're replacing 18 goals with 3 goals or no goals, or, this better be worth it. Like, Son's gone. We bought in nobody. Kane's gone. We bought in way below the standard. Okay. And as Lubo said, 2019, we had an opportunity. 2019 gave us false expectations about where we could be. And that was our opportunity to dine at the top table, to be the team that's right up there when you're looking for a player, to grab a player at the top table. Now, unfortunately, instead of first sitting, we're the 3rd and 4th sitting. And that's the only thing that worries me, to be truthful. And that's why I was worried about Mohamed Kudus. No one else came in for Kudus. No one else.
Can I just say one thing, though? I don't know if you heard yourself say it there. When you said about the fact of Frank telling Johnson to be brave, can't he give some advice back to Frank about being brave?
I know. I mean, honestly. Listen, look. I whilst I was never a fan of Johnson, his impact in the game, can't knock his goals and his finishing. But I need a beast, whether that's Jan Diomande or someone. We need powerful, brave players to play in this system. I don't want to see anyone shirking from any challenge. I want my wingers to take on their man, and if so, brought down, win a free kick. That's what I want from my players. We need players. Spurs fans have been brought up on entertainment, as Gary said. There's nothing entertaining about what we're watching now. And let's be honest, guys, it wasn't entertaining last season. Take away the final, which was the dullest final ever, 23% possession, right? Most of the games, yeah, it was exciting. We lost. We lost 22 times in the league, okay? This false narrative, okay? We need quality. We haven't had enough of it, and we need to start getting it now. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck in this turgid state for a long time. Up to ENIC now. You've done the talking. Now you need to start doing the walking and hand over the money. Otherwise, come February the 2nd, stuff's going to get ugly at the Lane.
Luba, let me ask you just on Brennan Johnson. Maybe I was wrong in thinking this. I was hoping for me that Thomas Frank coming in is somebody that is seen as someone that does improve players. Maybe I'm harsh to think that he should be improving players in the space of a couple of months, but I was really hoping someone like Brennan Johnson, who I think, we all have a feeling with Brennan. Not, again, I don't want to speak for everyone, but Brennan's ability was arriving best at the back post to score goals. He wasn't someone that would be blistering player that would take on his man and beat them. But what I was hoping with a progressive coach, he was going to coach him to be better. So my biggest frustration is that we're now selling a player that did score 18 goals last season, has had a number of goals this season. I'm not saying Brennan should be starting for Tottenham every week, but I think it's disappointing when you've got a manager that's renowned for improving players and somebody wanted to work with previously that he's almost admitted defeat and wants him out the door. Where do you stand, Lubo, on his departure?
Well, you look at the goals we've lost from last season. Sonny's gone, not replaced. Madison and Solanke haven't played. Kula hasn't played. So you go back. The next one was, the leading goal scorer was Johnson with his 18 goals and he got 7 goal assists. So do you get rid of the only person last season who was scoring goals before you get a replacement? Is my main question. The Ange system suited him much better than the way Frank plays. But to be honest with you, I don't know how Frank plays. So I haven't got a clue. The first few weeks, he was pressing, and you had a good, you got to play with the players that you've got, the cards you dealt with, and he pressed and he closed clubs down. I mean, look at the win at City was a perfect example. They just pressed all over the pitch. We got away with a couple. Haaland missed a sitter. Vicario saved from Mamouche on a one-on-one, and Spurs went and won the game. There's been nothing now for weeks. We're a moments team, and I'm not sure I would have sold him until I got a replacement. I don't think he's the answer. I don't think he's got that much to his game apart from, we never played him the way Forest played him. The ball's through the channels for him to run onto. He did it against lower league clubs, like Doncaster this year, Coventry last year, those sort of balls in, diagonal balls through, and he ran on. I think he scored one like that against Burnley beginning of the season. And we never played to his strengths, which was that the guy's got pace, play the ball in. I mean, we can't even play a 5-yard ball, let alone a through ball. We don't play through the middle. The through balls, I think we're the lowest in the Premier League. We're the highest for giving the ball away in the Premier League. So you look at these situations. I'm just not sure who's going to thrive with these players. I just don't know. And so you got to buy 4 or 5 brand new starters for this first 11 to start seeing some football. He is just going to grind it out. I actually don't think he knows another way of playing. I think he was pragmatic at Brentford, played on the counter, and he's playing the same way at Spurs, and he's grinding results. And we're not where we are. He's an average manager with an average squad, and the squad's in an average position in mid-table. So it all aligns.
Yeah, it does all align. It does. Look, we want to wish Brennan all the very, very best for the future. Like I say, hopefully he'll go on. I'm sure he will go and score loads of goals at Crystal Palace. We wish him all the very, very best. So not only Tottenham's first departure of the day, they've had a second one as well. Kota Takai, as I mentioned at the top of the show, has also left the club. He's gone on loan to Borussia Mönchengladbach until the end of the season on a loan. Quite interestingly, John, if I start with you on this one, it's been reported by a local source that covers Gladbach that Mönchengladbach have the option to buy Kota Takai at the end of the season as part of the loan deal. What do you make of that? What was the point in this? What was the point?
Honestly, that's the cheapest Japanese takeaway I've ever seen. Honestly, he came in for. I'm looking at the numbers that we're actually selling him for less than we paid. What was that about? He came He got injured. He left. Impressive. Johan Lang. Let me tell you, Johan Lang will not be getting a CBE or any award, especially from the fan base. I think one of the best bits of news, along with Scott Munn, would have been had he taken Johan Lang with him. We all know if we want to be champions and we want to be winners, then you appoint winners. And appointing someone that was demoted at Aston Villa to an also-ran, to then employ him and for Scott Munn to make him top dog is nonsensical. And what we've seen is £385 million of tosh that we're looking at now and thinking, is this it? Okay, that's what happens. Pick winners, buy winners, and you become a winner, not cheap crap, right? This club has spent too long looking at other options other than having the aspirations to be the best at everything. And that's where I am. If I do anything, I want to be the best at it, right? I don't want to be settling for second best. Unfortunately now, as I said before, because we missed the opportunity when we had the likes of Kane and we had the likes of Son to build on that basis and that platform, to add the players that those two players needed to take us to the promised land. Unfortunately, we didn't. And now we find ourselves in a situation now where, as we saw in the summer, let's be honest, Xavi was our fourth choice, okay? We know all the other players that we wanted to sign before, whether it was Morgan Rogers, Morgan Gibbs-White, Eze, and then Xavi comes. So, let's not beat around the bush and make out it's something that it's not. I just hope that we are serious in this window. And if we are serious, we still have the ability somehow to sell whatever we've got to sell, because right now we're not a good sell. You need a top salesman right now to sell the project that is Tottenham Hotspur. I know Gary's feed, his YouTube channel is the project. At least he'll never ever get tired of saying that, because Spurs has been a project since I can remember.
Yeah,
it's been a long project, that's for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to come to Lubo. I'm going to come to Gary. We've got a little bit more to get through here. Lubo, Manor Solomon, another one that has left Tottenham, currently on a loan. He's gone to Fiorentina with the option also to buy. And again, this is interesting because Fabio Paratici is leaving the club, we understand, imminently to go to Fiorentina.
Yeah.
So, this is just, I'm trying to make this make sense. So, Paratici has been involved in negotiations to take Manor Solomon to Fiorentina, but he's going to be leaving for Fiorentina soon as well. What do you make of that, Lubo, and how that's worked out?
Well, he shouldn't really be involved in negotiating for Fiorentina, should he, if he's being paid by Spurs? Particularly to take what is essentially a Spurs player who's just out on loan. I think that's unethical, to say the least.
I just don't know what to say.
What
it's bizarre, is it? It's just bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
bizarre.
I've never seen something like this before.
No.
It's very odd. Very, very odd.
Yeah.
Unless he's not going at all and people have put one and one together like they do in the press and come up with 27. We shall see soon enough. They say, wait and see until he's holding up the shirt. Let's wait and see whether or not he's gone, because we heard all the rumours. Then lo and behold, next thing we see is Vinay sitting next to Paratici at Palace.
Well, there's a charm offensive going on there, isn't there, Johnny? For him to stay.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, whatever you think of the merits of his signings over those 2 years before Lang came in, between 21, signings between 21 and 23.
They're better than Lang's.
He's different league to Lang.
Yeah.
Different class. I do fear for us if Paritici's gone in the next week, and he's personally been negotiating with various players over the last 3 or 4 months, and then the players have just turned around and said, hang on a sec, where's the guy that I was talking to? he's jumped ship. What am I doing joining you? And that's obviously a possibility if he leaves. Again, we're just speculating, aren't we? It's all ifs and buts.
Just the optics are just bizarre, though, Lubo. The optics are bizarre. I mean, I know we say nothing is normal about this football club, but nothing is normal about this football club.
Ricky, I honestly think it's a mess. I think they'll realise it's a mess. I think they'll realise that it's going to cost to get us back up to where Poch was. I estimate with the prices of top players, if you can get top players, and with the amount of players that are needed, not all of them are going to be successful. This is like, you're looking well north of 500 million. I don't think they'll want to spend that.
Do you really need that? I mean, 6 £50 million players will make this team damn sight better than it is now.
Johnny, it's a team. What about a squad?
Yeah, no, but you add.
You've got to have a squad. We got four. We're in 4 tournaments.
Yeah, no.
And the club know that we're not geared up for 4 competitions. We're so short.
Joe, right now, I'd take competing in 1 competition, let alone 4 of them. I just want to compete. I can't want to compete in 1.
I mean, listen. I don't know. I mean, we could sell Basuma to a balloon company. I mean, listen. We've got a year option. We can take an extra year, can we not, on Basuma? I think
yes, they have got an option to trigger that if they wish.
I think you take the year and then try and sell him for whatever, as cheap as you can. Just to get something back. But look, I believe that they're trying to clear the decks to get some more players in. I think the biggest surprise last night that I'm amazed not more people have spoken about was the fact that surely, just for experience purposes, we should not have had 2 goalkeepers on the bench last night. There should have been someone on from the academy last night.
Is that him sending a message, though, only because again, with the previous manager that we've had here, is that sending a message?
Potentially, potentially, yes. But for me, sends a very bad message to the academy kids.
Of course it does.
That haven't been chosen. I saw Callum Oluwasi was on it last night, and Williams Barnett made a little slide dig, didn't he?
He did. He quickly removed that, didn't he? Removed that after it sort of circulated, and then was asking, let's get 3 points in. But he's been injured as well, so that might be part of his frustration. But I agree with Johnny that we can't look at. I keep going and signing younger players for our academy, not develop them, not even just having experience. Even when I was in an academy, coming in, just being around the first team, it's different. Just being in and around it, experiencing that day. I know they're potentially not even going to be playing. That's fine. No. But just the experience of being in and around it, because when they are on that pitch and they are called upon, it's not going to feel like, oh my God, deer in the headlights moment. Yeah. And these lads need to be part of that. We've got. I could name 4 or 5 now that could have been there. It's really disappointing to see 2 goalkeepers put on there, and then when he's asked and questioned about it, kind of just diminishes it as it's nothing. And again, I think that comes down to the manager that we're looking at. Is this manager wanting to develop the players within the squad? If then the younger players, if they're not, then why are we going out and trying to buy these players with potential? We should go out and buy experience. It's disappointing. That really annoyed me last night, I must admit.
Yeah. I must have said, go on,
we desperately need new owners, just new owners, new ideas, new eyes, and then and build from there. But if they're not going to sell, for me, I think the only person that can unite this faction is Pochettino.
I agree.
I really do.
Yeah, I'd take him back in a heartbeat.
I just feel
that's nothing against Thomas Frank, because I feel like Thomas Frank could potentially get us there, but it's going to take some time. I think the way we are at as a fan base, and he was already kind of one arm time behind his back when he came in, because there was a split fan base of some didn't want Ange to go, some did, and it was already difficult. We're really broken as a club from top to bottom, and in fan base as well.
Nobody trusts anyone, Gary. Nobody trusts anyone today. No one trusts anyone.
And I think that someone like Pochettino, that we all know loves this football club, that can unite the United, and we know what we're going to get. I think, and I hope I don't speak out of turn for you three sitting on here. I know that if he came in, we're not going to be instant. Things aren't going to be instant change, but I know there's going to be a long-term vision and a plan. I know what football I'm going to see, and I know that he's going to look at our academy, and he's going to look at players coming in, and he's going to develop them. And I trust in that because I've seen it for however many 5 years he was with us. So I completely agree with Lubo.
We got short memories. We got short memories when you think that Conte and Mourinho could do nothing with the likes of Kane and Son, and we expect managers to come in and achieve with no Son and no Kane, and half the midfield creativity missing. It's ridiculous to expect that, but that does not excuse some of the stuff that Thomas Frank has been doing, in my eyes.
I also think that if Poch comes in, the fan base will give him time, because this whole thing of wanting someone out, wanting someone out in 4 months. So he brings someone else in for 4 months, and they're no good. Then another manager comes in. So let's just revolve it. Instead of every 18 months, let's have a manager every 4 months. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a shocking look for the club. So for me personally, bring Pochettino in. The fans will give him the time. He was always honest with the fans. He always came out and spoke and kept everybody informed.
He got us. He just got us. I know people think about the Chelsea thing, but I just think people need to remember that whole Chelsea debacle, that Tottenham didn't want him at the time, and the guy wanted to be back in work.
Yeah.
No,
I get the argument as well that and there's some in the chat of like, okay, well, what did he win for us? And I get and understand that argument.
Exactly.
However, he wasn't backed when he needed it, and he was asked. Right. And okay, he didn't achieve what Ange went on to do. And I get those arguments as well, but I think he gets the fan base, and I believe he could unite that. But like we're sitting here saying that Thomas Frank is our manager right now, and Poch isn't going to be here, and it's difficult that we're dreaming about other things that potentially not even going to happen. Yeah, because we had an opportunity to bring him back, and we didn't, and we've already been there, and it didn't happen. So yeah, we're a mess at the moment. It's a mess, and I think on the field we lack so much. We lack quality. In depth in the first team, we lack so much. The identifying of players is wrong. The systems we're playing wrong. But I don't think us as a fan base help either, that we are calling for change. And I know I'm part of that in some of the things that I've said tonight. I don't want the manager to be sacked now. But equally, we can't keep doing these same things. I know it's sort of a ramble now, but Lubo's right. It's the ownership.
Can I just say, Gary, right? The fan base bring it upon themselves a lot of the time. I mean, look, when in the summer, there was all this thing like, why we just slap down the £80 million that Man City want for Savinho? Just pay the money, right? Then the window closes, and then you see the fan base. Thank God we didn't get Savinho. He's dog poo, right? He's not done anything. He turns up now and again. He hasn't done anything. He's not even starting for Man City. Then the window opens, right? Oh, we need to get Savinho. Now he's injured. Thank God we didn't get, come on. It's like up and down like snakes and ladders,
I just don't, do you know what it is? I don't know what I think people aren't sure what they actually want. They want a win, and they just want to see us win. And that's fine.
I just think also that connection, Gaz, is key.
There's no connection, no.
The connection is so important. And the thing about going back to Pochettino, and look, again, I appreciate some don't want Pochettino back here, but Pochettino for some was the last real manager they had a connection with, that they at least felt some kind of journey with. There was a good feeling, good vibe about what the club was trying to do, what they were trying to be. The reality is, though, if he comes in and doesn't get backed, it'll be the same result for him. I don't know. I really, really don't know. But look, Thomas Frank is here. He's not going anywhere at the moment. They are going to back him, it appears, in this January transfer window. Some would say they've already backed him by, of course, selling Brennan Johnson. Takai, we've mentioned him a couple of times. Takai, we are hearing conflicting reports as to whether he does have an option to buy in that loan deal, despite outlets in Germany suggesting otherwise. It's been reported that there isn't. an option to buy. One player I want to very quickly touch upon before we look into Sunderland very quickly, Johnny, to come to you, is the young defender at Santos in Souza. Left back. Can you tell anything more about him, Johnny, and whether...
Yeah, I mean,
he's
listen, he's an interesting
one for now. How would you describe him?
Listen, he's an interesting player. Santos fans aren't happy that he might be leaving. Had quite a few games for Brazil under 17s. Unfortunately, hasn't played for the under 19s since. But he's an attacking left back. Likes to get forward, quite aggressive, but he's not like a big guy. He's about 5'10". He's 10 and a half, 11 stone. He would certainly need to bulk up, but he's quick. He's got stamina, and he's technically adept. So I think he's a good player, but they're wanting 17 million, and Spurs are only willing to pay 13 million. Begs the question: if you've scouted him, and he comes up, and the data comes up, and this guy looks what you're looking for, then why are we arguing about 3 million? It's the same old, same old. The only thing I would say is he's 19 years of age. I would prefer that we were buying someone more proven than someone like Santos, even though he's got a good reputation. We need a natural. He's obviously a natural left-footed left back, but we need a natural left-sided, left centre-back, left back desperately at the club. And unless he's going to come in and challenge Destiny or Spence or what have you, then for me, it's a no. But I think he's a good player. He's quite exciting.
Yeah, he's quite tall. He's 6'1", he's quite athletic, but good direct on the ball. Chelsea and AC Milan have been quite heavily linked with them as well. I know AC Milan were quite keen on him.
Well, Chelsea are more likely. I think if anyone goes for him, it's likely. I tell you who he's a bit like. I don't know if you remember Marcelo.
Yeah, from Real Madrid.
Yeah. He reminds me
similar.
of him.
The only issue is he's just been in a relegation scrap all season, so it's difficult to really tell how great he's been. Santos had just escaped relegation. I actually follow the Brazilian league. Actually, funny enough, I watch all the highlights on YouTube. I've got about 5-6 leagues, so I don't know every player, everything. But yeah,
while we're playing like this at the moment, we might need him in here for that kind of battle. We might
last game of the season, Santos needed a win. Neymar, I think Neymar got a hat-trick actually last game of the season to keep him up, and then he's out of contract. He's just re-signed with Santos, but yeah, he's a decent footballer. I'm with Johnny though. We need some experience in there.
Get Diomande in. That's what I want. Diomande, beast.
You think you favour Diomande, Johnny, over Savinho?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you saying Gary on that? Would you favour Diomande over Savinho or not?
He's a good player. Again, completely unproven. He's just come from. He had 10 games for Leganes in La Liga. Then went to RB Leipzig for like 4 million. They feel
20 million euros. You went,
and they think they've found themselves a gem. And by all accounts, he's playing well. Again, it's a big risk. It's a risk on potential. And it's unproven. For me, Gary, it's difficult to say who you would prefer because
for me, I'm look, Spurs fans over the last 20, 25 years, we've seen lots of lightweight wingers, your Aaron Lennons and the like, and we've seen a lot of failed wingers that have come through the academy and stuff. For me, I want to see some aggressive monsters come through. A guy that's just like a bulldozer that is hard to stop when he gets running. Listen, look, if you're giving me Savinho from Girona when he was at Girona, different gravy. But the difference is he had a lot more space. He had a lot more time. He's playing in an inferior team that has a lot of space and space for him to run in at. But when you're playing for Man City, you're coming up against low blocks and you don't have the space that you're gifted playing for a lesser club.
Does it
That's
worry
very
you, Lubo?
true. However, we are looking again at a potential, and it is a lot of money on a potential.
This is what I was about to say.
big
This is what I'm
concern.
saying, guys. On this point, guys, to come to you, Lubo, does that worry you, what Gary and Johnny are talking about here? A lot of their conversation is around potential, but we need proven players at the moment.
We do. We've got loads of kids. We've got more kids than we need. There's no shortage of young talents at the club, but hardly any of them are ready to step in. I don't think any of them, to be honest. If you said to me, start a team, pick an 11 that's going to challenge next season, even challenging for 4th place, there might be 2 or 3 players from our squad that I would start with, Kudus and the 2 centre-backs. That's it.
If you want someone, Lubo, that's going to come in, that's got experience, that's played in the Premier League, for me, that's Adamara Lookman. And I think that's more achievable.
Johnny, you could also, in terms of left-back, what's wrong with Anthony Robinson from Fulham?
He's 30 years of age, mate, nearly. He's a good player, but he's injury-prone at the moment.
I think he's just back, isn't he? He's a cracking left-back.
But I tell you what, Johnny,
it's a far out. It's one from far out field. But I really rate Harvey Barnes, and I think he's a fantastic player. And he's proven in that Premier. He's not going to cost us a huge amount of money. I think. Look, I would choose Lookman if you said to me now, Gary, you've got X amount of money. Who do you want? I'm going with Lookman because I think he's got the best of everything. But someone like Harvey Barnes has proven in the Premier League that it gets he gets the style that I think that Thomas Schrenk's trying to play.
Yeah, he doesn't style for Newcastle.
I'm glad someone does.
Yeah, but it offers us options because it doesn't, and this caveat onto the youth side of it, it doesn't stump or stop the progression of a Mikey Moore or a Luca Williams-Barnett. And I think a Harvey Barnes or a Lookman being on sort of the older side, even like a Paqueta, I know that he's been heavily linked a number of times from maybe on that left, someone that isn't so young that's going to stump the development of a younger player that can make an impact now, but can also help. And that's why I keep coming back to on every podcast to do. Jack Grealish to me would have been absolutely ideal to coming in the summer. Yeah, he would have got us. He would have got me and Johnny and Lubo off our feet in that stadium. He would have helped these younger players, and that would have been perfect. But they're the kind of where I'm at on that left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, look, we're going to see what they are going to do in terms of players coming in. We are going to turn our attention, guys, back to what's on the pitch, as difficult as it is right now. And that's Sunderland, of course, for Tottenham at the stadium on Sunday. They've just come off the back of a really, really decent point against Manchester City where they absolutely worked their socks off, Lubo. They've been the surprise package of the season to some degree. Look, we're facing a Sunderland side that, as we know, are missing around 7 to 8 players, of course, due to their participation at AFCON. So maybe this is a good time to play Sunderland. Maybe it's a bad time to play them, but their away record, only 9 of their 29 points a season have been won the road, and a mere 4 away goals is the joint worst record of its kind in the Premier League, alongside bottom of the table Wolves. Is this a good time to be playing Sunderland, Lubo, on the back of a lot of energy being put out there against Man City? What do you think?
Blimey. Well, I heard I heard they should have won yesterday. I haven't seen any action. I was told by people that were listening to reports last night that they played really well. Sunderland's away record, now home record. Cool, what a game this is going to be. You might get 2 minutes highlights on Match of the Day. I fancy a 1-1 draw. I don't know. I'm just, we're just not in a good place. We've got to grind out results. I think we've just got to get through to the end of the season. Bring in. Hopefully, for me, I'd bring in Pochettino, and that will lift the whole place. To bring someone in now in January for 4 months. No, 1-1 draw with Sunderland. Another tough game. Another tough watch.
Lubo's really sold it there for any guest seats available for the game.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Sorry, Ricky. I'm sorry. You know what? Every game for years under Pochettino, even Harry Redknapp, you go home and away, and you really look forward to it. It was a highlight of the week. We had some superb players, and if Sunderland's away record is as bad as our home record, well, great.
If anyone in the chat has got an inflatable Mauricio Pochettino, could you forward it to Lubo, please, so he can stick it on his couch, so he can continue the loving until the summer. Well, listen, maybe Lubo will get his wish come the summer.
Put him in a dugout come Saturday. Maybe that could give us a bit
dugout.
more,
He might do a better job, some would say.
Can you imagine if he walked in next week, what a lift that would give the club? Can you imagine?
It won't make any difference when he hasn't got any attackers or midfielders.
I tell you what, though, Johnny, you'd soon see January's fixtures be. You'd see tickets all be filled.
Oh yeah,
games.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it would be. It really would be. I mean, again, can't speak for everybody. I know some don't want Poch here. Some would love to see Poch come back. John, we'll come to you and we're going to close on Gary. They failed to score in 6 of their last 9 top flight away games, in the 25-26 season so far. What's your thoughts on this one? I mean, we know how bad our home form has been in general at the top of the stadium this season. I've gone past Arsenal this season, must win for Thomas Frank, because it feels like at the moment they're going to back him to some degree. But I always keep thinking, at what point is the limit? Because he's just come off the back of, like I said, being chanted by the away fans. They want their money back, and boring Tottenham. So I don't know how much more lower it's going to get before something does have to change.
Well, listen, look, I think Regis Lebris, or however you pronounce his name, has done an absolutely fantastic job at Sunderland. Sean and I on Football Link were discussing them at the beginning of the season, and we felt that the signings and the money invested was fantastic, and we weren't going to see another year like when Fulham spent over £100 million and went straight back down for poor recruitment. I think Granit Xhaka was the best bit of business that anyone did in the summer. He's their engine room, and he will get a lovely Tottenham Hotspur welcome come Sunday. But they've been exciting to watch. And, when we talk about fight and determination, when you look at the game at Stadium of Light, when they played Arsenal at home, and it looked like Arsenal were going to overrun them, but they never gave up. They kept competing physically throughout the game and eventually wore them down. I think, we do have a chance to win this game purely from the point of view of the amount of players that are missing and the edge that they have at home, but lack of it away from home. But I think it will be a very, very narrow win because, again, Ricky, we've got no midfield. We've got no Xavi. Xavi's still out, for another game. Yep. No, another game. He's been out for 2.
One more.
He's been out for 2. One more game. So there's no Xavi. There's no Bergvall. You tell me, where's any creativity coming from? We don't have anyone. There's no one there. So for me, I'd be playing what we spoke about before. I'd be playing Kudus in the 10, and I would be having Odegaard on one side, and I don't know what we do, but we need to mix it up and find some creativity. Sunderland have been a fantastic watch this season, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 ground out, horrific, battling 1-0 victory. And I will take it.
I'm glad someone will. That will keep the natives on side. Gary, let's close with you, mate. What do you think of it up at the Spurs Stadium on Sunday? What's going on?
I think it's going to be a difficult game. Obviously, they've won, one in the last 5, 3 draws on the spin in the Premier League. Yeah. Away form's not the best. Our home form isn't great at all. So I think it's going to be one of that. I really hope it's not like last night. Got some reservations that it's going to be quite a difficult game, to be honest. They are high amounts of energy. They're really difficult to play against, I think. So it can be a hard one. I'm concerned because I don't know where the creativity is coming from, unless we do change the system. Going to a back 3, maybe going 3-4-3. Kudus going in the 10 if we're playing in a 4-2-3-1. I definitely think we need Odegaard, Tell, Richarlison, Moani, like a combination of those 4 as best we can, because we need some creativity in there. I don't think we can afford to go with a double pivot plus an Archie Gray at home. It was too defensive, and I think they'll pick us apart. Really, we need some creativity against their midfield. So I think it's going to be really difficult. I actually think it's going to be a draw, which is a shame because I haven't seen many wins. I can only go to the home games, so I fortunately haven't. I don't know how you can say the pleasure of going away yet. I don't know if it is a pleasure or not, but I haven't been to an away game as yet. So I guess
more than a pleasure than the home. That's
no.
Gary.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if it is a good thing or not, but I can only go to the home games, and I really want to see us a win here. But I'm just not inspired enough at the moment that I can see it happening. So a draw for me,
guys. Thank you so much. Go on, Lubo. What do you want to say?
No, I just feel sorry for the home fans. I mean, the away fans are seeing 5 wins out of 7.
I feel sorry for all the fans. I'm sure you do as well. I feel sorry for anybody that's supporting this club right now because it's just an absolute mess. An absolute mess.
Honestly, Warren Wood, top of the league.
But you know what it's like.
Well, I live in Cambridge, and they've actually lost 1 game in 14, and that was a penalty shootout. So I might start going to Cambridge a little bit more than I was.
The thing is, we're all locked in this forever. We've got no get out. We're here long term. We're not going to go anywhere. We all love the football club. I just hope for fans there's going to be something that gives us hope. It's mad, like I said, in the year that we've had. I mean, Jason, bless him. He said it. We won a trophy. Daniel Levy's gone, and yet we're all so bloody unhappy, and it just feels like a mess, an absolute mess at the moment. Look, we need a couple of signings to lift us. We need a couple of signings to lift us. Go on, Johnny.
Daniel sat on the coach? Is Daniel sat on the couch somewhere, chuckling to himself?
Probably is.
You thought this was all easy, didn't you, boys? You thought
Well,
this
I'll tell you what,
get rid of the problem, and it will all go away.
It's what Lubo said at the start of the show. This is years and years of mismanagement, and it is really, really now coming back to haunt us. And the biggest problem is for fans is that I don't know when it's going to get any better. If you could just think to yourself, right, we've got to deal with this for another year or two, and there'll be light in the tunnel. The problem is, I look at the squad, I look at the manager, everything from top to bottom. It's just an absolute mess.
And now you've got Ricky. Now you've got a team with. Now you've got a football club, financially very strong. Yeah. You've got a player from Bournemouth that won't even join us. We're not attractive enough for a guy from Bournemouth. I mean, look, what a joke. I mean, look, this is what they've done. They've made the financial side, commercial side stronger year by year, and they've diminished the football side from where we were when they took over. And to be honest with you, it's maybe been going that way even under Sugar. At least with Scholar, he wanted Spurs. He was a Tottenham till I die supporter. He loved the club.
Yeah,
it's all gone wrong. It's probably been 35 years, not 25 years.
I just would love, to feel for the fan base, for us all, that there's going to be some hope in the tunnel. Let's see what Sunderland offers. Let's see what these next few days hold. Let's see what Spurs can do in terms of the transfer market to give some fans a hope that this thing's going to get better. Honestly, a massive thank you to both Lubo, obviously Johnny from the Spurs 5, and of course Gary. Guys, thank you so much. We'll be seeing you a lot, of course, during this month and more for the transfer and what it holds. Guys, thanks to the over 6,500 that have been watching us live. We appreciate all your support. We wish we could be giving you more optimism, more hope, but it's just where Spurs are right now. It just is where Spurs are right now. From us all, please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on.